Take a breath and settle in. Welcome to Metaphysics at the Movies, the podcast where film meets deeper meaning and every scene becomes a doorway to insight. Today, I have the pleasure of introducing someone who doesn't just watch movies, he reads them. Reverend Rich P. is a Unity minister, speaker, and teacher of practical spirituality, known for blending real-life wisdom with metaphysical truth in a way that's grounded, accessible, and powerful. Around here, it's not just about what's happening on the screen. It's about what's happening within us as we watch. So whether it's drama, comedy, or action, Reverend Rich P. helps us uncover the spiritual principles, the hidden patterns, and the deeper messages woven into the stories we love. Get ready to see movies differently, and maybe even see yourself differently too. Let's get into it.
Welcome to Metaphysics at the Movies, where we look beyond the screen to discover the truth within. I am Rev Rich, and we are continuing our special summer series, Summer Blockbusters That Teach Spiritual Truth. So far, we visited Jurassic Park, where we learned about respecting divine order. Then we stepped onto the mat with a Karate Kid and discovered that our daily spiritual practices prepare us for life's biggest moments. Then, Today we're climbing into one of the most famous cars in movie history, the DeLorean. We're going back to the future. Now, on the surface, this is one of the greatest science fiction adventures ever made. It had time travel, fast cars, lightning strikes, crazy invention. But underneath it all is a profound spiritual truth. What if your future isn't created by your past? What if your future is created by your present consciousness? Let's go ahead and take a break, because today's movie isn't really about time travel, it's about transformation. So let's look at the story as it unfolds in the movie. Marty McFly is a teenager who feels stuck. He sees his father and lacks confidence. His mother seems unhappy. His family believes life simply happens to them. Then an accident sends Marty 30 years into the past. Now he's face to face with the younger version of his parents. As Marty tries to repair history, something unexpected happens. He begins changing it. Small choices, small conversations, small moments of courage. Little by little, the future begins to change. And when Marty finally returns home, everything is different. His father has confidence. His family is thriving. The atmosphere of his home has changed. The future changed because consciousness changed. And that's where we begin. And the metaphysics unfolds. So let's go ahead and look at our metaphysical lesson number 1. You are not trapped by your story. One of the biggest lies we tell ourselves is, this is how my family is. This is just who I am. This is just how life works. Marty could have accepted the future exactly as it was. Instead, he discovered something powerful. The future isn't fixed. Unity teaches that every moment is an opportunity to choose again. Our past may explain us, but it doesn't define us. Many of our inherent stories that we hold on to we're always struggled with money. No one in our family finishes anything. We don't talk about our feelings. People always leaves. And these are just stories. They're not spiritual laws. Spirit continually invites us to write a new chapter. So how do we practice this a little bit? Finish this sentence. I've always believed, and fill in the blank. Then ask yourself, is this absolutely true? And you might discover that you've been living inside someone else's story. So, metaphysical lesson number 2. Small choices create big futures. The movie reminds us that history changes through moments. So George McFly didn't suddenly become courageous. He makes one courageous choice, just one. The ripple effect changed everything. Spirit often works that way. We want dramatic transformation. God often begins with one conversation. Maybe it's one forgiveness, one prayer, maybe a new habit, maybe one act of courage. Unity's third principle reminds us that thoughts help create our experiences. The thought changes, the action changes, the future changes. So this week, based on this metaphysical lesson, let's go ahead and choose one tiny change and then be consistent, moving it into more powerful and then occasional inspiration. So just one tiny change this week. Let's go ahead and hit metaphysical lesson number 3 here. Your family gives you a starting place, but not a destination. One of my favorite themes in the movie is that Marty loves his family, but he also realizes they don't have to stay the way they've always been. That's important. Many of us carry generational beliefs. It could be a fear. It could be a thought of scarcity. It could be anger. It might be people pleasing. It could be shame. It could be perfectionism. Those patterns can move from generation to generation until someone decides it stops here. Unity teaches that every individual carries the Christ presence. That means we always have the capacity to choose differently. Your family history is your starting point, not your destination. So today, ask yourself, what patterns ends with me? Maybe it's criticism, maybe it's silence, maybe it's addiction, maybe it's fear. Maybe it's believing you're never enough, because today becomes the day you begin to choose differently. So let's go ahead and head over to metaphysical lesson number 4. Imagination creates possibilities. So Doc Brown is an inventor. He sees possibilities no one else sees. People laugh at him. They call him crazy. Yet imagination changes everything. Unity recognizes imagination as one of the 12 powers. Imagination is not fantasy. It's spiritual vision. Every invention, every ministry, every relationship, every business, every healing, everything you see when you look around you began as an idea. So spirit plants possibilities before they become realities. The question is, what possibility has spirit placed inside you? Have you ignored it because someone else couldn't see it? Remember, everyone thought the DeLorean was ridiculous until it traveled through time. Metaphysical lesson number 5. Fear keeps us in the past. Ironically, many people live in yesterday without needing a time machine. We replay conversations. We dwell in our mistakes. We focus on our failures. We remember every embarrassing moment and feel it. And then we begin to relive them again and again and again. Meanwhile, life keeps inviting us forward. Unity teaches that the presence of God is always now. Not yesterday, not someday, now. The spiritual journey isn't escaping the past. It's becoming present enough that the past no longer controls us today, or the past no longer controls today. So notice today when your mind drifts backwards, pause, take a breath, and then affirm, I choose this moment. And that's how we return home. Metaphysical lesson number 6. The future self is being created today. The ending of Back to the Future is hopeful. Marty doesn't return to the exact same future. He returns to one created through different choices. Every decision you make today is introducing you to your future self. Want more peace? Practice peace. Want a deeper relationship? Practice honesty. Want confidence? Practice courage. Want joy? Practice gratitude. The future isn't waiting for you. You are building it one choice, one decision, one action at a time. So as always, for my Unity brothers and sisters, where does this movie fall into the 12 powers? Well, our featured power, of course, is imagination. Charles Fillmore taught that imagination is our ability to envision what can be before it appears. Imagination lets us see possibilities beyond appearances. Doc Brown embodies this beautifully. Everyone else sees impossibility. He sees potentiality. Spirit asks us the same question. Can you imagine being healed? Can you imagine forgiveness? Can you imagine abundance? Can you imagine yourself living differently? If you can imagine it, you're already participating in your own creation. And we also remember as we visit that little book, Paul writes in Romans, be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Notice he doesn't say transform your circumstances first. He says renew your mind. That's exactly what Marty experiences when consciousness shifts, life shifts. So again, one of my biggest dreams is if I ever do open up my own Unity ministry would be to have right above the stage where people are facing, be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. Because once you renew your mind and consciousness begins to shift, so does the life start to unfold. So let's look at the DeLorean a little bit in this Unity Insight, because the DeLorean itself might be a symbol. Because the DeLorean isn't escaping time, but of consciousness. Every prayer, every meditation, every affirmation is an invitation to leave old thinking and return with a renewed mind. The greatest journey isn't backwards through time, it's inward through truth. So let's, as always, whether I'm speaking at a ministry or we're doing a presentation, I always give homework. So this homework, you're going to write one new future. Take out a notebook, write 3 columns. Column 1 is going to be your old story. I'm not good enough. Column 2, new truth. I am a beloved expression of the divine life, And then finally, column 3, what's the new action you're going to take? Whether it's apply for a job, make the phone call, forgive, begin the project, take the walk. Choose one action that aligns with your new story. So let's take a moment before we head into our closing here and affirm together. I release the past with gratitude. I release the past with gratitude. I choose new possibilities. I choose new possibilities. Divine imagination opens my mind. Divine imagination opens my mind. Divine imagination opens my mind. Feel that one. Every loving choice creates a brighter future. Every loving choice creates a brighter future. I am free to become who I truly am. And so it is. So in closing today, Back to the Future isn't really about changing yesterday. It's about changing today, because today becomes tomorrow. Every conversation we have, every time we choose forgiveness, every prayer we say, every courageous choice writes another page in the story of your life. Maybe you've been believing that your past has already decided your future. Spirit says otherwise. Spirit says choose again, believe again, love again, trust again. The future is not waiting to happen. It's waiting to be created through the consciousness you bring into this very moment. So I just want to thank you again for joining me for another episode of Metaphysics at the Movies and our summer series, Summer Blockbusters That Teach Spiritual Truth. Next week, we're putting on the proton packs as we dive into Ghostbusters to explore what happens when fear, imagination, and unseen forces shape our lives, and what Unity has to say about all of it. Until then, remember, you don't need a time machine to change your future. You simply need a new way of seeing today, and I want you to take that truth and walk with it. Peace and blessings, and so it is.
And just like that, the credits start to roll. But here's the truth. What you saw in the movie is already playing out in your life. So the question is, what are you choosing to believe? What role are you stepping into? And what truth are you ready to live? That's the work. If this episode spoke to you, don't just sit with it. Walk with it. Apply it. Live it. Let it move through you. And if you're ready to go deeper, more teachings, tools, journals, and ways to activate this in your everyday life, head over to revrichp.com. That's where the conversation continues. Until next time, keep watching, keep awakening, and take that truth and walk with it. Peace and blessings.